Coming to you from the Spit Studios in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. This is the Spit Sports Show. I want to start by apologizing for not posting in a little while. I'll explain why afterwards, but this is going to make up for it, I think, because this is going to be a bit of a longer episode into a deep dive on how the Canucks have been playing through their first 12 games. Because I was planning on doing a 10-game recap, but then I got called to do the Sakaris and Price show, and I was working for Canucks Army, and there's a whole bunch of stuff behind it. But that doesn't matter. We're worried about the here and now. And what's here and now is the Canucks beat the St. Louis Blues last night 4-3 in the shootout. Now, Adam Foote called it probably the most gutsy win that he's ever been around since he's been a part of this team, which obviously he was the assistant coach last year. I think he's been with the organization since 2021.
You lose best in the first shift, a good player like that, you're like, no, here we go again. And you just said at the battle, I just told him it's pretty incredible for me as a coach and been here 2.5 years, maybe almost 3 years. And it's the best team win I've seen since I've been here as far as being resilient.
But the thing that's funny about that quote in particular is I think every win for the next couple of weeks is going to be considered a gutsy win because at this point, the injuries are just unbelievable. I know I'm not the first one to talk about this, but they have 11 players on the injury report right now. The next closest teams each have 7. And it's not like these are just some AHL guys, because obviously in the injury report, it's mostly NHL guys, like guys with two-way contracts. But these are your captain, Quinn Hughes, your best forward so far, Connor Garland. I mean, Kiefer Sherwood's making an argument for that. We'll get into him later. But Brock Besser, your best pure goal scorer. Niels Hoglander, who's supposed to be a second liner for you coming into the year. Teddy Bluger, maybe your best penalty killer. Forbert, maybe your best defensive penalty killer. These aren't just fourth line guys, AHL fringe players who are out for the Canucks right now. These are, again, key contributors for the team, and the Canucks were still able to get it done yesterday. The Canucks have 6 players on injury reserve, which is different than the injury report. Injury reserve means you're out for a lot longer. The next closest is Pittsburgh and Carolina, who have 4 each. Now, if I'm being totally honest, I personally would not classify last night as gutsy as much as I would lucky. Now, that doesn't mean the Canucks didn't show a whole lot of character during that game because they absolutely did, but the Canucks got dominated in just about every 5-on-5 stat you can think of. Shots, there's an advanced stats graphic you're looking at right now. The Blues pushed the play throughout the majority of the game. There's just no doubt about it. But if I'm being honest once again, and again, that's all I owe you guys is my honest, authentic opinions, with those injuries that they had and all of the chances in front of the net that they couldn't capitalize on in the Rangers game, like that was an infuriating game to watch. I counted at least 10 times where the puck was just sitting outside of the blue paint, waiting for someone to tap it past Jonathan Quick, and just everyone was a split second late to the puck, specifically Reichel. Again, I'm going to get into him later, but holy crap, that guy deserves a goal. But with all that, they deserved a bit of luck against the Blues, and they got it. So those 2 games, they bring them to 6-6 through the first 12. They're sitting perfectly at 500, and they're only a point behind Edmonton for the final West wildcard spot. Despite that, though, I'm seeing a lot of doom and gloom from Canucks fans on the internet. A whole lot of why me attitude. Why are we so cursed? Our franchise is never going to be able to win. Listen, I got to be honest here. I've said that a lot this episode. I'm always honest, guys. I think I feel way better about this Canucks team now than I did before the season. And I don't think it's particularly close, barring any further injuries, of course. I mean, I don't know what the next 3 months are going to look like. Injuries are just kind of a thing that happened. There's nothing you can predict about them. I hope everybody in the NHL stays healthy. I really don't want anyone to be hurt. But barring that, Hughes, Besser, Garland, Mancini, Forbert, Lecker, a bunch of guys who I mentioned earlier should all be back within the next 2 weeks or so. Now, this is based off ESPN projections and the history of their injury types, which is all I have to base off of. I can't go up and say, "Hey, how you feeling? You think you're gonna be back in a couple of weeks?" Based on the information we have, it looks like within the next couple of weeks, the Canucks should be getting exponentially healthier. Hughes, Besser, and Garland in particular should all be back within the next few games. It looks like Besser is going to be back against the Wild tomorrow. Hughes might be back at some point, although I would assume he probably misses the rest of the road trip and comes back home for his first game. Garland, again, I'm thinking similar timeline, but his injury doesn't seem to be serious. Those are probably, definitely, the three most important players on that list. And they're all kind of in that day to day stretch at this point. And yet, the general public is acting like this is some season ending leg break for these guys when simply put, it's just kind of bumps and bruises, which just happen during a season. And again, you would way rather that these little nicks and crannies come down at this point in the season rather than later when you're making a playoff push or you're in the playoffs, hopefully. You'd rather it happen now. So, before I get into the specifics of why I have hope for this team, more than hope, optimism for this team, the general vibe around this Vancouver Canucks roster right now is something that I have found incredibly impressive. And to be honest, it goes back to training camp where Pedersen and DeBrusk and Hughes were all talking about the vibes and how much better everybody feels coming into training camp as a team with obviously no more Miller drama. And I don't think Rick Tocchet was any problem in this sense, but a new coach, a fresh feeling. Um, and they've shown it on the ice. This character and vibe of theirs, it seems to be giving this Canucks team some wins that realistically they probably shouldn't have gotten. Last night, obviously, is the first one that comes to mind. They got dominated in that game again, statistically, but it's a win and they figured it out. They did not put their heads down even when Besser left with 33, what was it, 33 seconds into the game. It could have been again a whole, oh, here we go again. Oh my gosh, but they kept their heads up and kept working. That Oilers overtime win was an unbelievable effort a couple of weeks ago. That was the first game with Quinn Hughes out, and Hronek stepped up and picked up the pieces. A lot of guys stepped up. Awesome win. And then I have to go back to that Dallas game to start their road trip, where keep in mind, they were 1-2 going into that first road trip of the season. And that road trip featured some very, very good teams, including Dallas, who they were getting worked by in the first period. They were down 2-0 after the first. Again, they pick their heads up, score 4 in the second period, and win the freaking hockey game. Like, it sure seems this team is a lot mentally tougher and more bought in than last season. To me. To me. Plus, with all of the injuries so far, the depth has had chances to log real NHL minutes, which should give them confidence for when they have to go back into their lesser roles. I think of the Abbey line, who I got to be honest, I was really impressed with at first, but they've kind of been slowing down lately. I think if they're your fourth line, though, that's a really good place to be for them. Atsu Ratu played really, really good yesterday. He hasn't been great overall, but he played really well, and I think he's getting some more confidence logging very significant minutes. Drew O'Connor played unbelievable last night. I think his stick skills need some work, but he has a lot of speed, and it seems like his confidence with his shot and his forecheck has been going up game by game. And when you have depth like that, it's going to steal you a couple of games. And listen, I don't think this team is a cup contender by any means. And maybe not by any means. If they were fully healthy, I do quite like the look of this roster. But if they do get into the playoffs and are trying to make a run, which obviously they do if you're in the playoffs, depth is the most important piece to any Stanley Cup winning team, in my opinion. Obviously, you have to have your superstars producing, but behind them, those third and fourth lines, again, getting you cheap goals is what usually wins cups. Speaking of superstars, though, I want to start with Elias Pettersson because he has taken a lot of crap from the Vancouver media, not only throughout these last couple of years. To start the season, people were all over this guy. And I was one of the few saying, give him a couple of games here. He's still working through knee tendonitis, which he hasn't fully healed from. And I don't know if he ever will, but he can play through it if you get it warmed up and get a feel of the game and know what you can do and what you can't. And Pettersson has looked like Pettersson to me, especially over these last 5 games. You look at the stat card that's up right now, everything is just kind of right where it's supposed to be. Plenty of room for improvement, no doubt about it. And I thought last night was one of his weaker games, but he's tied for 13th in the league in blocked shots. Like, are you kidding me? Elias Pettersson, the toothpick who came into this league 145 pounds soaking wet? He's just been awesome on the defensive end, a genuine Selke candidate so far. And he looks so much more comfortable and patient with the puck than I've seen him in past seasons. Sticking with down the middle as well, this Lucas Reichel trade has looked like a flat out godsend. He is unbelievably fast. He gives the Canucks a length of speed through the neutral zone, which they lost as soon as Hedel went down. I think if he gets a chance to play with Hedel, that is going to be just such a fun line to watch. I have no idea what's happening with Philip Hedel. Please take your time and be safe if you're watching this. Take your health seriously. But the, I just love what I'm seeing from this kid. Now, don't get me wrong, he's snake bit. He has had so many chances to finish, and he just has not been able to. His it seems to me like he should have at least 3 goals by now, but he's stuck on 0. It's coming. He's going to be able to break through. Everybody can see it. It seems like him and Sherwood are getting along pretty well on the ice together. He's not exactly a puck retriever, but he is a playmaker, and he again, for what the Canucks gave up for him, he has just been unbelievable. And add on to that the fact that before he got hurt, Connor Garland was playing the year of his life. He picked up right where he left off last season, where I thought he was by far the Canucks' best forward in the last 15 to 20 games. Points per game pace for the first time in his career. And speaking, excuse me, of the best season of his career, I've never seen Thatcher Demko look better than he does now. Holy crap, this guy is unbelievable. And he's in that position where he really can steal you a game by himself. There's no doubt about that. But his best performances have actually come in games that they lost. And I know that again, wins and losses are a goalie stat. I don't know why this was invented forever ago that again, it's a team stat, but it's put on the goalies for whatever reason. It's like quarterback wins. It's anyways. That's a whole other argument and can of worms. But the first Oilers game on that Saturday night, the Canucks' second game of the year, the Canucks got worked that entire game. But Demko just kept them in. It made that unbelievable save on Draisaitl, was just steady as can be. That Rangers game, like I said, where the Rangers won 2-0. Again, only reason to me that the Canucks are really, really trying to fight hard in that game. The Predators game that they lost, he was unbelievable in. And also defensively, like this decor is really freaking good. Philip Hronek has looked unbelievable without Quinn Hughes. Now, this seems to be a bit of a theme, if I'm being honest. When Hronek doesn't play with Hughes, he looks unbelievable. I'm not going to say you need to break them up, but what I will say is having Quinn Hughes' speed backing up Tyler Myers' lack of acceleration, to put it nicely, isn't the worst fit. And I've seen those two play together well before. And Hughes, speak on him, I know he's hurt right now, Before, he wasn't even playing his best. I'm assuming that this injury isn't something that just popped up. It's was affecting his play before. I also think that him adjusting to Foot's new system where the defense has to jump into the play systemically instead of him breaking out the puck instinctually is making him think for an extra second about what he actually needs to do in transition. But when he comes back, there is really no reason to think he won't go back to being one of the top 10 players in the world. And add on to that the fact Tom Willander, he looks like he has Adam Foote's complete trust already. Logged some overtime minutes, fifth and 5-on-5 ice time yesterday. What just with my eye test, he is an incredibly fluid skater. But the main thing that I was looking for, and the main thing that I look for always in defensemen that young, is are you a defensive liability? Because when you're drafted that high, you're obviously going to have some talent. You're going to have some skating ability, some stick handling ability. Are you where you're supposed to be? Do you fundamentally know how to move forwards off of their spot, beat them to corners, and get pucks out of the zone? He hasn't been scored on. He wasn't scored on last night. He's been really, really solid. So that is another just huge bright spot for the Canucks. Now, I don't anticipate him staying with the team for the entire season by any means. But if you need him, it's another piece that you can call up and be confident in to log some minutes. Now, I I don't even know where to start with this Kiefer Sherwood guy. Oh my gosh, he has been playing so much better than his best hockey ever has been. Where do I start? First of all, people are going to talk about the fact that there is no possible way that he can keep this up. And you're absolutely right. But this shooting percentage that he has right now is happening at the perfect time. This is where the Canucks need cheap goals. Again, I keep going back to this. When they're so hurt as they are right now, the most important thing is your depth steps up and you're able to just find ways to stay afloat. And Kiefer Sherwood being 11th in the league in shooting percentage right now at 37.5% is just perfect timing because you'd think when the Canucks get healthy, they're going to be able to get goal scoring from other places than Kiefer Sherwood. Now, little sidebar, Max Sasson also is at 37.5% shooting percentage. Maybe you should shoot the puck more. But Sherwood is the Blues killer right now. He had a hat trick last night. He had both goals against the Blues the first time that they played. And the most fascinating element of this to me is he has the highest goals above shooting talent in the entire NHL. Now, what is goals above shooting talent? Well, essentially, what Money Puck does is they take in the amount of shots that you take, your percentages throughout your career, and put it into a formula where your goals expected are transferred into how many goals you have now. It is a complicated stat that's way above my head, but to put it simply, it's how much scoring talent do you have historically and how well are you doing now? Sherwood is blowing everybody out of the water. It's not even close. He can't keep it up. There's no way, but he shouldn't need to. He shouldn't need to. And again, when I talk about perfect timing for this stretch of the Canucks, the scheduling break that they have right now with that St. Louis win yesterday, which again was huge, 4 very, very winnable games coming up while the boys heal up from their nicks and knacks. You got Minnesota, who just got booed off their home ice last night, Nashville, who aren't good, Chicago, who are pretty good, and then no, I still don't know about Chicago, but that's a whole other thing. And then Colorado, who is very good. But 3 out of those games you should be able to take. That stretch is going to tell me a lot. Again, they should be able to go 3-1. If they don't, reassess. With new information, new opinions change. That's how sports works. But for now, I feel really good about where the Canucks are at. Only 1 point behind the Oilers. Again, with all of these injuries that they sustained, they are so far from out of it. Sherwood has been keeping them afloat. The depth has been good, and I think they're going to be more experienced. Patterson looks great. And again, I don't even want to say it, but it doesn't feel like the injuries can get any worse than they are right now. And they, again, are right in the thick of it. Thank you all so much for watching as always. I want to know, what is your optimism level at for the Vancouver Canucks? Where do you think they finish? How do you think this next stretch is going to go? I'd love to see it all in the comments below. I am small enough as to where I can read all comments. Love doing so. So drop something down there. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed what you heard. Please subscribe if you really enjoyed it. The Spit Sports Show just hit over 400 subscribers. Big things happening on this channel. As always, I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out. I love you guys.